Did you guys have 16s before and you went to 17, or did you go 15,
I
17?
did. So the 16 I loved. It was the titanium.
Yeah, I had the
Other than that
16 Pro
the
Max.
edge was just a little bit too sharp on
Yeah,
my finger. But I never use a case, so that's kind of my problem.
I hate this camera button.
I like it. I use it
I'm
constantly.
always pressing it in the wrong spot. It's always I'm touching it
constantly because I'm always taking videos of my own freaking face talking to the
So
camera.
Maria and I were talking actually about I don't know when Ian's going to jump into this episode, by the way. We've been all over the place.
Oh, we're recording.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot. I was the one who told you to record.
But this camera button, when they first announced this, like 1 or 2 years ago, whenever it was, I was really excited for it because I've even like in the past bought like accessories that you connect to your phone that gives you a shutter button. Because like I'm a photographer, I like having a really nice, good shutter button. So I saw them talking about adding the button. I was really excited about it until I got the device, and I hate it because it's such a compromise in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like one, they had the whole like where you like can like slide on it. It's got like a touch sensor for zooming in or whatever. I turned that off on day one because it was way too finicky and would always like respawn when I didn't want to. But the most annoying thing is the placement is like for portrait, it's too low. Like it's too far below the power button and that I can't easily get to it, where it feels like it should be just below the power button. And then in landscape, it's too far the other way and it's not like comfortably where my finger would rest. I have to like reach way in to get to the shutter button to click it. And so it feels like it's like the compromise in between those two spots, which kind of makes it worse for both. And then the most annoying thing, I'm almost done with my little rant on this stupid button. The most annoying thing is that it's a click, that when you like hold it up and then you click the button, it's like a physical clicking sensation. And that's not how shutters work on like a normal camera.
Yeah, it's
like
not
on a
intuitive.
camera, it's a squeeze. It's a really soft squeeze. And you hear a click from like the shutter actually activating, but it's not a click in the button. Because the problem with the phone, when you're holding it and then you click that button, it actually like slightly moves the phone a little bit. It doesn't feel right. You want it to feel like you're holding the camera completely steady and you just sort of do this nice gentle squeeze, and that causes the mirror to flip or whatever. And so anyway, I wanted to love this button and I kind of hate everything about it.
You know, the big SLRs, like that's why they have like all the grips and stuff on the side.
Yeah.
They're kind of like really ergonomic and molded to your hands so you can hold them steady and just like do that soft click. But I totally agree with you, especially the phone's so light. Like you're literally moving it when you click it. And you can adjust the sensitivity a bit. If you go to accessibility settings, you can make it like a bit lighter touch, but it still just feels weird. And it's too fiddly. So I changed it to a double click. I like the double click just to open the camera, but not to use it as a shutter button.
So I use it basically as a camera shortcut because I don't do the double click. I just have the single click for it. So it is nice for that I don't have to like dedicate an icon on my home screen to getting the camera. It's like a really quick, give me my camera real quick, press that button, there it is. But then I always just use the screen shutter button. Maria and I just trash talked it. But Sharon, you like it? It works for you, huh?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. I have the 16 Pro Max and I take a lot of pictures of my children. I'm like the family photographer, and all of my content for social media is basically face talking to camera. So I'll like very often just like have an idea and I'm just go, and here I am. So I don't know.
Oh, wait. So I'm just pointing out, I noticed you pulled it up and then your thumb was over the shutter button. So are you using the like digital shutter button to actually fire, or is that just subconscious?
I think it's just because I have small hands and that's where I have to hold my phone.
Okay. I was like, wait, so you are using it, but no, you're still using that side button.
Yeah. It can only go so far.
I do wonder, you said that you had the Max, and the one I have is the regular Pro. So I wonder if that placement might be better on the Max. I'm not sure.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Like if it's bigger, it's like, to me, it's like right. Fingers on the button
that might be
right now.
Especially for portrait. Because for me, portrait mode, it's like too low.
Oh, that makes
sense. So that might
makes
be it.
Well, we figured it out. Apple, just ping us if you need more ideas.
I mean, the other good thing about it is like if it's in your pocket and you want to take a photo, you don't have to pull your phone out, unlock it, click the icon. You can like double click it as you're pulling it out of your pocket. Whenever I think about assigning shortcuts to say the action button or the camera button. It's got to be like something that you want to do without looking at your phone, so you can do by muscle memory, and then it's open.
Right. But not by accident.
But not by accident. But it's something like, if you don't want to look at the screen to do it, like open the camera as you're pulling it out, like that's perfect, because you don't want to miss the shot.
Right, right.
For me, that makes a perfect candidate for like a shortcut button to be the action for the shortcut button. If that makes sense.
Well, on that note, before the recording, we were talking a little bit about self-funding, like figuring out the financial things of doing a startup, because that's kind of where I'm at right now. We don't have any actual like real revenue other than like a few random ones. So we're kind of in this weird place of wanting to make a startup work, but not actually having the income to make it work, and just sort of navigating seeking funding or figuring out how to bootstrap with your personal runway. Whether that's eating into savings or whatever, and all those sort of things. And we weren't meaning to talk about it today, but we were kind of brainstorming a lot. And then Sharon, I know you had a bunch of ideas you wanted to get to. So no pressure. Let's go. What do you got?
The question is like, there's personal burn, right? Like how do you float your startup? And there's obviously traditional things like, oh yeah, just an investor thinks your idea is great and gives you money. Like, cool.
Right.
Job done. But that's obviously easier said than done. I'm very personally, I'm like one of Jesse's cheerleaders, as is Marie, and we just want him to be able to keep going and are just thinking of ways around it. So we were talking about accelerators, right? So like startup accelerators, Y Combinator, like
YC,
the big one. But there are so many YC copycats, YC inspired copycats. You can tell I used to work.
You did used to work there.
I used to work there.
That's kind of your automatic, I'm sure.
I mean, they were the first ones. Yes. The other wonderful accelerators.
They're definitely the flagship.
Yes.
YC is definitely the flagship accelerator.
Right.
And they sort of make moves and a lot of others follow. And a lot of those are great. Like we were talking about how they recently bumped their initial investment up. I think it was 150 before, and now it's 500 and things like that. And a lot of other accelerators follow that as well.
Yeah.
Which as a founder is great, because in general, YC is pretty founder friendly.
Yeah.
And so it's beneficial for founders that they are really kind of helping move the needle on that. And a lot of those quote unquote copycats are following that as well, which in general is benefiting a lot of founders.
Right. And so, I mean, I'm in Jesse brainstorm mode in my brain, but I think a lot of the ideas we talk about would be generally applicable or like inspiration for others. But, based on your region, there are going to be accelerators that are trying to help focus on startups in that region. Jesse is pretty close to Seattle. And so like Techstars is kind of the bigger accelerator in Seattle, and Pioneer Square Labs, they're kind of a non-traditional accelerator, but I am just now realizing I do know somebody there.
Well, then we should talk after this call.
And my co-founder, Chris, he was working for a PSL. Their PSL is the nickname, which all I can think of is pumpkin spice latte, but it stands for Pioneer Square Labs. He was working at a Pioneer Square Labs briefly between the time that we worked together and then he joined my startup. So yeah, let's talk about that. They do it a little differently. It's less of a traditional accelerator. They actually, at least they used to before COVID, would kind of have office space, and like the companies could work out of their office space and things like that.
Oh, nice.
I know $500,000 and the prestige of a Y Combinator is hard to resist, but sometimes if you don't have kind of all the check boxes for them and they get a bigger influx, then it could be strategic to go after smaller dollar amounts that can float you a month or two to your runway versus, maybe not, giving you 12 months of runway. So that's obviously one thing. But I have other ideas too.
Yeah. Marie and I actually, I can't remember when this was, a couple of weeks ago or something. I think we'd had a podcast scheduled, and then Sharon, you weren't able to make it and we canceled it. But then Marie and I ended up getting on the call later anyway, and just sort of talking through some of this stuff, because Marie, maybe you could share about your experience with doing an accelerator.
I did the Launch Accelerator, which is run by Jason Calacanis, and I joined that as a solo founder, which is always a little bit more difficult, but it's doable. I think they put in it might have changed now, so I guess look it up, because it depends when you're listening to this, but I think it's about 120K or something like that. Obviously, it's not all about the money. The money is kind of just to give you a little bit of space to work on it and maybe quit your job if you're working full time. I don't think of that money as like, I'm going to put that into the business and use that to grow. That's more for like me to be able to focus on the business like fully and just give myself a little bit of buffer. That's the way I thought about that that money. But for me, it's more about like momentum. It's about getting the advice, obviously the connections that they have as well. And also just being around other founders week to week and surrounding yourself with other people who are in the same mindset. That's hugely motivating. For me, it's a lot about focus. But I think, like, similar to what Sharon said, there's so many different accelerators. Yes, it's nice to have that big check size and the YC name, but the other ones are great as well. Like, I think it's about what you put into it as well. Like, how much you get what you put in.
Right. And just being able to have that float and and accountability, right? Like there's a lot that comes from that, where somebody's asking you what you did this week and you want to have a good answer, and that matters. Obviously, like Marie and I are going to ask you, but you're not going to feel that bad because we didn't give you any money if you didn't get anything done.
Right. Yeah, we have our mini ADHD founders accelerator, which is just the three of us talking every 2 weeks.
I know. We love these.
No funding, but some great accountability.
Also, just from a ADHD perspective, like that week-to-week check-in, it's like a deadline. It's huge accountability. There is a sense of responsibility you feel because someone's given you money to show up and grow the business, perform, like being competitive. For me, it ticks a lot of ADHD boxes.
Right. I think I just looked it up. There's over 200 accelerator programs in the US and 3,000 worldwide. So that's just one little note. And then, go ahead, Marie.
Also, like, just doing one accelerator doesn't mean you can't do another one.
Right.
So, when I did my accelerator, I'm pretty sure there was like another company in there that had already done one. And there was a company that was in my accelerator that went on to do another one after that. So you're not locked into just one.
And we would see that at YC all the time. They would go to YC after having done another one.
Yeah, and each accelerator has slightly different networks and different people involved in them, so you might just get different points of view.
For other people listening, Jesse, this isn't as applicable to you, but there also are accelerators that focus on specific things like women. Like there's I think Pivotal Labs is one that's women's focused accelerator. There's also accelerators that focus on people of color. People are wanting to fund specific types of startups. So as much as you can. I mean, and I don't know if I don't think this exists, but like if there were somebody who's trying to invest in neurodivergent focused startups, that would obviously be like a home run. I'm sure you'd be like top of your class. But and then there are other things. I mean, like untraditional things. And this is kind of, I guess, let's go from to go to the full other side of the spectrum and maybe we talk about in between. Storytelling time. Airbnb, and you guys probably know this story, but for those who don't, Airbnb struggled, right? They had a crappy little product idea it got them by, but it wasn't making them consistent money, which was when there's an event, let's have people put airbeds, literally airbeds, airbed and breakfast in their living room. And that's where people will sleep. They didn't have a payment processor. All the payments were done offline in cash. Like it's different than what Airbnb looks like today. And so they struggled. They believed in this idea, but they did not have any money. And this was in like 2008, or it was right in the beginning of the recession or in the midst of the recession. And so funding was not happening. What did they do? Because they were doing these pushes related to events, there was a national election going on. So Obama versus McCain for the presidential election in the US. And that was where they were seeing most of their business, was when there was like a convention and they would get a lot of Airbnb bookings. So because they were kind of doing this political move, they were like, looked at themselves. What are our skills? What can we do? And the founders were two designers. They went to design school. And so they're like, well, let's make cereal because we have an airbed and breakfast. So we have the airbeds, we need breakfast. So they're like, let's make our own cereal. And they designed boxes. It was Obama O's and Captain McCain's, like Captain Crunch. And they went and bought a bunch of cereal and then took the bags out, right, threw away the original boxes and put them in their own boxes, like hand cut these boxes and sold them as like a specialty item for like $50 a piece. They sold $30,000 worth of cereal, which was able to kind of float them a little bit until then. And, famously Paul Graham, who is the founder of Y Combinator, was so impressed with their just like scrappiness. Like that was one of the main reasons he says he funded them. He's like, these guys will do anything. Like they will figure it out. They didn't even have a full-time tech co-founder at that time. They were just two designers. And like, just as an example of like, lean into your skills and what you have. And I mean, like, obviously, Jesse, we could brainstorm stuff you have, but I feel like that's an inspirational story of like, you've worked really hard on building this incredible platform where you've really allowed people to feel seen and relate with ADHD experiences. And your business serves that same purpose, right? Like giving support and making ADHD people feel more supported and less alone. And so I feel like you have there's something there that you could maybe push that's tangential to your product. And I obviously I love a good brainstorm, but I feel like there's some things there, which you have done a bit, right? You've obviously written a book and you've done a course, but there could be something else in between here that like a wavepal, like maybe you could host a big like Renaissance where like you're trying to get 1,000 ADHDers to rekindle an old friendship that died off because they never responded to the text message or something like that, or like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I love that. Cool. I've sort of thought of maybe they're like doing some sort of challenge or something like that, and right alongside with that, maybe some sort of like a gratitude of like, oh, for 7 days, send like every day, send a message of gratitude to someone you haven't talked to in the last few months or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like there's definitely some opportunity there.
Or like a copy and paste, like can't think of how to reach out to the friend you haven't talked to in 2 years. Copy and paste this one, just something that could be easy lifting.
And also even just like another thing I've thought of that I haven't done, but just while brainstorming myself, like, oh, maybe some sort of like how to be a good friend with ADHD guide or something like that. Like some sort of thing that could be, and then it just like, oh, brought to you by wavepal or something to sort of like tie it in there.
Yeah.
But trying to make that kind of jump out as a thing on its own.
Yeah. And you could prototype that by like doing the whole guide at first. You could do like a single post just to see if there's like appetite for it.
Marie, you've got that look like you got something you want to say. So I'm calling you. It's like when you're in class, you got the kid that's not raising the hand, but you can tell they want to.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing over there. So what's going on, Marie?
No. I was just thinking, are we moving on to marketing ideas? But no, that's fine. Like, I guess Sharon's point is like Airbnb came up with this very creative marketing way to float the business for a while, and that became a story that they could use or attracted an investor or an accelerator to.
Well, and it was a separate product. Like it actually didn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't actually grow their core business. It was a separate product. Yeah.
I was just kind of thinking, as you were talking about that. The friend thing, like the event or whatever, it made me think of meditation, because you know how like Calm and Headspace, they sometimes do like a 30-day meditation challenge. And I actually took part in one of these things a while back. I think the one I did was actually hosted by Oprah and Deepak.
Well, that's right. I just got to get them to host an event with me, and I'll have this made.
But it's a similar concept where they got people together. But Sharon made a really important point earlier that I didn't want to lose, which was you can try and come up with all these new ways of doing things and marketing and getting a little bit of extra cash. But it's also about what you have now, which Sharon was saying, like, what do you have right now that you can use? Like, what story can you tell? And you have so many, like all the stuff that you've done from a content creator perspective. You just need to show that you've grown something. Like your product, in that case, it might not be a technical product, but it's still a product. Like the book is a product. You built the book from scratch. You launched the book. You sold X number of copies, self-published, hired a designer. Like you did all these things. Like if you think about the book as a product, even though it's not software, there's such a good story there. Mm-hmm. And even just your Instagram or your X account, just growing that from X number of followers from this date to this date, and it grew this much, and here's how I did it. Like that's a huge story, and people just want to know that you can grow something. You have the drive, the motivation, the focus to actually grow something from this point to this point in this amount of time. I think that shows you've got what it takes, and you will do whatever it takes to figure out how to grow wavepal. It doesn't matter if it's not a tech product, just that you can grow something. That's it. Like I feel like that's such a story. So because you're a small team, there's not a lot of time. There's only there's only so many hours in the day. You kind of have to pick and choose what you want to put your efforts on. And that could be doing a new initiative, which is like some friend event thing. That takes time though. Or you can look at the old stuff, the current stuff that you've got, and use the time to formulate stories around that. And maybe there's no right answer, but I'm kind of like, well, You really got to figure out where you want to put your effort because you don't have that much time in the day. And you don't have nothing. Like, you have a lot of good stuff that you can already use.
You're not starting from scratch in any way. It might feel like it, but from our perspective, you've got a lot going on.
One other example I did when I was kind of pitching myself for an accelerator was, there's a famous YC question where they go, tell me something that you're proud of that you've done that's not related to a business. Right, Sharon? There's some question like that. Tell me something that you're proud of, something that you've accomplished that's not a business. And I always say stuff like, oh, you know, when I was younger, I moved to a different country and I didn't know anybody in that country, and I just decided to go, and I managed to find a place to live, and I got a job in like 13 days. And like, I tell that story because it's kind of like, wow, you took a massive risk. You went somewhere like you didn't know anybody, and you managed to set up and get a job in that time and find a place to live and kind of establish yourself in a short time. And I always tell that because it's like, that's something that I feel really proud that I accomplished. It's got nothing to do with building a product, but it shows that if I really put my mind to it, like, I can figure out how to make stuff work. Even in a situation that or a country I'm unfamiliar with, I can figure it out and I can survive. And I feel like if you can get that across, like, that's a huge thing.
Yeah, this is awesome. I mean, my ego is doing great right now, so thank you both for
that. Let's knock him down a few pegs. Just kidding. Go ahead, Jesse.
I just wanted to mention, a lot of this reminds me of, there was a book I read like a year or two ago called The Unfair Advantage. And basically it's like a business book, but it's talking about how everybody has quote unquote unfair advantages. And the trick is sort of figuring out what are yours, like whether it's like, oh, you've worked in a certain industry, so now you have like 10 years of this knowledge that most people don't have, or whether you're, connections that you have, or all those sorts of things adding up. And it's really about figuring out what is because you have it, everyone has their own unfair advantages. And it's kind of about figuring out what is yours and how can you sort of lean into it and build off of that. Yeah. And you've both done a great job here highlighting some of mine, which I super appreciate. But for anyone listening, it's really about kind of finding what is it that is unique to your story that can be used in a way. And sometimes it's not going to be super obvious of how that unfair advantage might connect with whatever it is that you're trying to build or do. But that's sort of like the job of figuring out how can you sort of lean into that.
Right.
Also from an ADHD perspective, for me anyway, like a huge unfair advantage is if I'm super passionate about something and I'm really interested in doing it. So for example, when I went and moved countries, like I really wanted to do that. Like I was obsessed with it. But that combined with the fact that everybody around me told me, oh, don't do that. Like that's going to be really hard. And people were basically saying like, I don't think you can do it. And for me, if someone says, I don't think you can do that, I'm like, okay, just hold on. If you say I can't do it, I am going to prove you wrong. And I am 1,000 times more wanting to do it.
Yeah, it doesn't, even if I feel that way now, suddenly I'm like, everything within me is just going to prove you wrong.
Yeah. So for me, an unfair advantage is if something is super hard, someone says I can't do it, and I'm really passionate about it, I will do anything to get it done. Like that combination, those three things, like really hard, someone says you can't do it, and not, but I want to do it, can't stop me. Nice. Like I'll just do whatever it takes. And that's my unfair advantage. And I think for a lot of ADHDers, that's the case too. Like those things really get people going. So if you can get across that you're really passionate about it too, like nothing really beats passion as well, I think. Passion with the problem though, not obsession with the problem versus obsession with the product is different. Because if someone's obsessed with the product, just like the execution they've got, that's kind of dangerous. But if you're obsessed with the problem and you're willing to change like what you're doing to solve the problem, that's gold.
Right. And I feel like that's actually kind of the crux of what we're talking about. I mean, even the serial Airbnb example is about, like, it's kind of like not what product are we building, but what problem are we solving? Like, where do we live? Where can we live in people's brains? And is there some sub product is there something I can do literally, if I can sit down and sketch out right now that I can get out the door tomorrow or next week that is related, that will help somebody kind of today. And I think that there's a lot that you already do in that space. So I feel like there's we could brainstorm a lot of ideas there. But I mean, if just general tips, I mean, I don't know if this is something you'd want to do, Jesse, but like for people listening who are also kind of like, my personal bank account cannot withstand me working full time on a startup, which would be, most people would be like crowdfunding is another thing. It's like less common with software startups. It's more common with physical goods, right? Where someone pre-purchases a thing, and then when it's built, they do it. Like the Pebble watch.
Yep. Marie pointing to her Pebble watch. Yep.
The Pebble watch, famously one of the best performing Kickstarter campaign of all time, or something. I think setting a public deadline, like you have this kind of platform, and just being able to be like, I'm gonna work on this full time until this date. Come join me. Like get in here while it's hot. Or Marie, you probably added a good amount of cash to your coffers by doing I remember you mentioned the lifetime deal that you once did to I gave you like a cash influx, I'm guessing, and maybe you didn't need it as much at that time, but that would be something that...
I needed it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because I was in a similar situation where I was just burning my own money for a good 18 months, maybe even more.
And that's kind of crowdfunding-ish, right? It's like, it's a startup, so people, if they're rational minds, could tell them the startup might not last forever, but there's an opportunity right now for me to save some money if it does. Then that's kind of this a buy-in, like a public buy-in,
Yeah.
Did you want to tell that story a little bit, like how when you did that lifetime deal?
Oh, the lifetime deal. Yeah. So what lifetime deal? It was actually kind of funny though, because I didn't put a lot of thought into it. And this is the thing, it's really important to just try things.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's about speed, not so much overthinking. And I've spent time doing other things where I've spent so much time on it, and then I launched it and it didn't do anything. But when I did the lifetime deal, I literally just was like, oh yeah, this could be cool if it works. But I was also kind of a bit detached from it and was thinking, well, if it doesn't, whatever. It took me literally 2 minutes to do. And I put a post up. So I set it up on Stripe, and at the time it was Twitter, I just put a tweet out saying, there's a lifetime deal. This is going to be gone in 24 hours. It's this much. And I posted that tweet, and then I shut Twitter, and I shut my browser, and I shut my laptop, and I was like, whatever. And then shortly after, I was just my phone was just going off. I have a screenshot somewhere in my photos history, but there's just all these Stripe things coming through. I'm like, what the hell happened? But social media, people shared that tweet, and it just went completely viral. And that tweet actually indirectly got me into the accelerator, because somebody from the accelerator program, I joined the launch accelerator with Jason Calacanis. Someone from his team saw that lifetime deal tweet because it was going viral, and they bought Llama Life through that deal, and they used it and they really liked it. And they reached out to me after that saying, hey, I saw this thing. I've used your product. I really like it. Are you up for a chat? And I had a few calls with them. And then after that, I applied for the accelerator. But because I'd already had a few chats, you're in a better position when you apply. Mm-hmm. And then I got into that accelerator. So that whole thing, that whole promotion that I did, which I didn't give a lot of thought to, that was really my launching pad into everything I've done. And I guess the lesson that I learned from that was... It's so funny
how those little things can really be huge, yeah.
Yeah, so the lesson from that is also just try a few different things, but don't overthink either, because I literally did not spend any time on that.
Do you remember numbers at all? If you don't have to share if you don't want to, but I'm curious if you have any idea.
God, it was so long ago now. It was maybe 4 years ago. I can't actually remember any numbers, but it definitely did give an influx of cash, which is kind of what I needed. But more importantly, it's on this path that I'm on now. I could also I can't remember the exact numbers, but I could also use those numbers to say to the accelerator program, there are a lot of people interested. You still need to caveat it. You don't want to seem naive. I said, a lot of people got the lifetime deal. Obviously, it's a lifetime deal. There's a bit of FOMO around it, so that factors in too. But the fact that people are interested in this product means that they might have a problem that they want to solve that this product is solving. So, I kind of said, like, look, a lot of people bought it. I know that some of it's because it's a deal, but it also does prove to some extent that there is interest in this product.
Yeah, but people, I mean, there are plenty of things on sale that I would never buy. You know what I mean? Like it is actual interest. It's not even just like, it's not like views on a video, right? Where the video is funny and that means they want the product. No, like someone paying $1 for anything is a vote, or it shows actual interest, like documented interest, right?
Right.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other ideas.
I love it. Oh, that's too many for a hand. So that's why you had to write them down.
I did.
Oh wow! Look at you.
I can
Let's
send
go
you
through them.
I mean, I can
Let's
send you
do it.
these afterward, but this is also just a fun example of how my brain gets super fixated, and then I like cannot. I'm like, what about this? What about this? What about that? And I'm like a quantity brainstormer, and then sometimes I'll pick things. So like these are mostly bad ideas, but these are Jesse specific. So this is about Wavepal and Jesse. Should I rattle them off? Okay. We can edit this out if it sucks.
You could, maybe just rattle them off real quick, and then we could talk more. But just because if I'm listening right now and I'm not me, I'm like, I want to know what those are, even if they're not specific to me. Like we're talking about 6 ideas. What are they?
Okay, ready?
So maybe we could like rapid fire through them. Yeah.
I'm just gonna do my auctioneer talking. I'll just blast around. Okay. You could have a daily or weekly body doubling session that you charge for, like you charge $10 per person, specific to creating a side gig. So like, hey, other entrepreneurs, I'm trying to fund my business. I need to make this work. Join me once a day at this time. It'll cost this much. And I'm also an ADHD coach. I wrote Extra Focus. So the top of the hour, we'll talk about kind of ADHD struggles, and the bottom of the hour, we'll do this. So you kind of have this like time with Jesse that you're selling, but you're actually then having that focused time yourself to build a related product. Well, we kind of already talked about that one. Setting a public deadline, like I'm having this, like here's a counter. I want to get this many users by this date, or something funny happens, or something like that. ADHD friend confessional. I literally had goosebumps when one of your emails, or in the early days of Wavepal, was like, someone once told me I was a bad friend. And that was the most clearly I ever understood your product. And I think just emotional benefits travel farther. And so like, I can just imagine you using your platform to share that story, but also invite other people to share theirs, right? Like, tell me about when somebody said you were a bad friend because of ADHD, or tell me when you felt like you failed your friends because of ADHD. And they could write in with DMs, and you could once a day come on to stories or reels and read with your good radio voice, read these like sad ADHD stories.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, is it Post Secret? I think kind of an early internet. Do you guys know that Post Secret?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it was just called Secret.
Oh, okay. So it was where basically people would like anonymously email in or whatever, like a random secret, and they would like post those. And there's that sort of almost morbid curiosity of like, I was checking that all the time to be like, what's the new random thing? And people would share just kind of crazy secrets about their lives or whatever.
So like this like really ADHD confessional booth or whatever. And there is this, I've actually seen this a couple times in museums, or there's this exhibit place called Hopscotch in Portland where people can go while they're there, like audio record their secrets, and then you walk in, and if you walk to different areas of the room, you like hear the different secrets. It's very weird. I don't take my kids to that area. And these are more middle of the road. Get a sponsor for your newsletter, like Stasis or like NeuroGum. Those are just 2 ones that I'm aware of. They're physical products that target ADHDers. So they're in no way competitive, but they have tons of cash because they do really well. So like that you'd just like float a little sponsorship money for your Instagram.
What are those products, real quick?
Stasis is oh gosh, now I feel like these are not sponsored, and I've actually not tried.
Sponsored.
I've not tried either of these. Stasis is a supplement that claims to help with ADHD symptoms, and I think specifically they target those who are on medications for ADHD, because it helps like level off, like when you come off of your stimulant, like makes you feel more balanced. But I know it's very popular, and I've seen it plugged by a lot of ADHD influencers that I follow.
Right. I'm pretty sure I've gotten an email from them. I've been hesitant to do anything supplement type because but
Desperate
I
times,
think I
bro.
do have emails from them. Desperate times.
Just kidding. And then NeuroGum, they were on Shark Tank, and my husband told me he bought it, and I keep meaning to go down to his office and get one and try it. But it's a gum that apparently can helps with like focus, but it's like natural, like saffron or something like that.
Right. Interesting. I haven't heard of that one.
So, but like there are other things. I mean, there are other ADHD companies that are profitable, but they're also tech. So like there could be possible. I don't know. You have this really big platform, and having an occasional sponsor. I mean, like even remember Morning Brew? Like that was so popular, and it was like purely floated through sponsorships. So like even just kind of getting some float cash again for something you're already putting work into, like Marie said, you're literally already putting out a wonderful newsletter.
Actually, Morning Brew is actually another example of one of those like where they did really scrappy stuff.
Yeah.
They started out by like going to colleges, and then I think they like gave talks or something at colleges. But then after the event that they would do, they would literally go around with a like pen and paper and have people manually write down their email address, and then they would use those emails to add to their newsletter. And that's how they initially grew their newsletter, was by going to college campuses and physically writing down all of these email addresses.
Oh, I did not know that. That's amazing.
Yeah, now they got like, I don't know, I'm sure they were over 1 million. They got huge. Like,
right. They got huge fast too. Like it was kind of like, well, you don't subscribe to Morning Brew? Like it was a very like everyone. Right, yeah. Everyone. It was pre-Substack too. It was like in that kind of like the rebirth of email kind of early phase.
There was also another newsletter called The Skim.
Yeah.
And that was really good too. Yeah, 2 female founders. And I really liked, I mean, as the name suggests, like it's very short form. It's summarized stuff. It was like a skim of the hot news.
Their point was like they were 2 news producers, and their friends were always asking them to like break down these like complicated news, like political stories and stuff. So they were
had that unfair advantage, and they made the match between that and a product that made sense.
So it's kind of like news for everybody, where it gives you like the short of it and the background, and
in a really friendly, like casual language, but very smart. It's just more casual, easy to understand.
Oh my gosh, I would at least pay or follow you to have like a Jesse. Like you're so good at summarizing stuff, Jesse, right? Like that's like kind of what you built your brand on, this early brand of like news for ADHDers. Where it's like literally like you take the news of the week and just in 2 sentences summarize it. and maybe political stuff would be harder, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, I think I'm out of ideas. There was like a duplicate. Well, I mean, I had the ADHD friend confessional was similar, just like in sharing vulnerably. I mean, I'm not the success story. So, I mean, like I have not succeeded yet in my business, but my biggest growth moments have come from me being super vulnerable. So like there were videos of me talking about how I was so low. I had not showered. I was staring at myself with hatred in the mirror. And that was like the low where Shelpful was born from. And those types of posts were what got us our first customers. And so, I mean, that's actually obviously like growing your product is something that we didn't specifically mention on this call, but like, selling more wavepal subscriptions obviously solves problems for you too. So
right.
That's a whole different topic, I guess. And then that's hard too. I mean, like finding product market fit is hard. So if you have some things to carry through in the meantime or to push people there, it's easy to get distracted. And I kind of think startups shouldn't do marketing. Like I think I find marketing to be a waste of time for startups. I'm using air quotes because I think that growth tactics are things that we should do, but like ads, 100% never, don't for the early days, like those kind of things.
Right. Yeah. I definitely feel like doing like paid ads or something like, yeah, sure. Someday when I feel like we have product market fit and I know that if someone signs up for this, they're going to use it for this long and it's going to help them with this sort of thing. And I have like that painted picture of like the product is at the point where it's solving this reliably for enough people that it feels worthwhile to put money into advertising. Like I'm not going to buy ads to try to find product market fit.
You'll still sell ads.
Just kidding. You can sell ads on your existing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I was going to say that's what you can use like capital for. Like if you get investment, I'm not saying use it all on ads, definitely not, but you can use some of it to run some ad experiments.
Especially if you have a higher margin product.
Right.
I've struggled with ads because my margins are thin on the software side.
That's a really good point.
So, I mean, but there were multiple companies that came through YC that had higher margin products. Like, I remember specifically this shampoo brand. They made shampoo for curly hair. That was the product, and they were in Y Combinator. And I was like meeting with them, and I was kind of surprised that they were advertising so early, that they were doing like Facebook ads and, well, Facebook, Instagram, but you know what I mean? And it was profitable. Like, they were making, they had a really efficient ad program that was actually making them money, which is rare for a startup to get that efficiency.
Yeah, I ran into that as well when I was trying to do like some direct book sales and like doing advertising for that, meta ads and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the margins just weren't there to make that actually profitable.
Yeah, and you can also get yourself into a weird trap where before I got funding, I tried to do a few ads using my own money. And the problem is, because it's your own money, you kind of get a little bit tight with it. You kind of like, maybe I won't spend as much. But there is a little bit of a threshold where, like, there's this danger zone where, and I'm not talking about spending like crazy amounts, but like there's a danger zone where you go, I'm not going to spend as much, but then you get into a situation where it's just not enough to do anything. And you've kind of just keep sinking money week to week, like a small amount, but it's really not enough to break through. Like, there's a little breakthrough kind of moment, and then you just sink the money. That's why it's kind of like, wait and do it a little bit later when it's not your personal money. Like, that just feels painful. Right. And you might just be sinking it for no reason because you haven't actually put in enough to make a difference.
Yeah. Spending money on anything as
it's really hard.
Bootstrap company is scary and hard.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah. But that is a force. That is what allows us to be creative too, right? Like, if you just had tons of money, you would have spent a lot more by now and maybe would have had the same amount of progress. Like that, you kind of have a forcing function to keep you focused. So, silver lining. I'm doing something right now with Shelpful. So I've talked to Jesse about this last week. I've grown my Instagram with Shelpful by 80,000 followers in a few weeks. And
it's crazy.
And it's these automation ideas. And I just didn't. This morning I did a interview with like this radio show, this NPR show, and they found
NPR.
Yeah, they found me through my TikTok on. It's a show. It's not like one of the big shows, but it's a show called This Old House. I mean, it's great. I was very excited. If they're listening, I was very happy to have you on. But it's this show called This Old House. But I joked to my co-founder, I'm like, my parents will finally be proud of me. I'm going to be on NPR. So, but then I'm like, you know what? I've always been thinking about this as a way to connect with interested people because Shelpful's kind of in that same realm. And just this week, we rolled out our shortcuts integration. So now Apple Shortcuts, which is the main thing I talk about for automations, does actually work with Shelpful. So yay. I actually now have like a direct connection to my product, which we've been working on hard since we launched that. But I decided kind of last minute, I'm like, I'm going to do an event and I'm going to charge for it. Cause like I've always used events as like a community building thing, but I'm now seeing like this automation education, people are hungry for it. And there actually isn't much of that out there. And it kind of is possibly like another kind of product from Shelpful. I mean, Shelpful stands for super helpful. And so like if we can help people figure things out, then anyway, so that's kind of the little growth test I'm doing right now. Well, it's not because a growth test I would qualify would be, does it sell more Shelpful memberships, right? And that I would love to sell more Shelpful memberships because of this, of course. Yeah. But I just announced this live event and I just looked at, I priced it at $49. So it was like, I was so scared. I've never charged for any of the events we've done. Even my course, I like sold it for like $1. So like, or like, so I'm trying that out because I really do I'm like good at teaching this. Yeah, clearly absolutely. People are liking it. So I'm kind of joining you a little bit, Jesse, on this experimentation because we have money left, but we will run out of it if we don't make this iOS app a runaway success or make money some other way. And so,
right. What do they call that? The default dead?
Default dead. Yeah.
Is that?
We're default dead.
Because eventually at some point, if nothing changes, then
Yeah, you have you can go so many, if you make the same amount of money and lose the same amount of money for, a number of months, then you will die. Right. So I don't want to die.
Wait, default dead is if you weren't propped up by capital, you would die. Is that what it is? You wouldn't survive. What's the definition?
If the trajectory of growth would not make you
by
profitable.
The time the capital runs out.
It's like if nothing changes, eventually you'll run out of capital.
Gotcha.
If none of the statistics and where everything's going.
I am default alive, guys.
Yeah,
at the moment.
Nice.
but there was a huge sacrifice, right? Because I had to let 2 people go. Because if I didn't let those two people go, it would be default dead. Because I'd hit that point. Where the capital ran out, so the company had to be profitable to support itself, and had to make those 2 massive changes. But I am default alive because it's running
right
by itself on its own profit.
That's huge. That's not currently true. It could be true if we had 1 employee. That'd be true for us, which we don't.
Yeah.
But we can't. I can't build this alone.
There is a catch because it's like, well, now I have to. Can it still grow with 1 person
or 2 people or whatever?
Or 2 people enough to get to a point where I could raise money again, or just grow it more like a lifestyle business.
Right, and that's life. And I think that there's nothing wrong with them. It doesn't excite me as much because that's just, I don't know why. I guess I do know why. I just have been in startup land for too long I don't know. For me, it's like a go for broke.
Go big
thing.
or go home.
Go big or go home. I'm not in a crazy way, right? I'm not going to blow all the money on. We're very, very conservative with our cash.
Yeah.
But with this small team, I want to make bets, try things out, and just see if we can get to a place where we're default alive or close to default alive, or that puts us in a position that we can go raise more money realistically, right? Hard to raise money when you don't have evidence that you can make money, long term, right? And we do make money, but we just need to make more.
Awesome. Well, that's probably a good place to wrap it up.
We need to make more, and then we're like,
Sharon, where can people go to help you make more money?
Our Patreon is just kidding. To help me make more money. Just kidding, and to help you get your life together, please try Shelpful. Shelpful.com, SHELPFUL.com. Follow me on Instagram to join the masses who are interested in these automation things. And the automation event is October 22nd, which I think this podcast will come out before then. So if you're interested in joining that event, it's going to be great. And you will leave the event with at least 2 automations built on your phone, and you will have them working by the time you leave. Sorry, that was a long plug, right?
You can find me on Instagram at 3 Hour Coffee, spelled out 3 Hour Coffee, or just look up Llama Life in the App Store and Google Play. Jesse?
Yeah, you can sign up for the want list for WavePal at wavepal.app. And we have been slowly kind of rolling that out, getting that to new people that sign up. So, and I've kind of been selecting some of the people that are more recent. And so I'm kind of doing both sides of the want list. So people that have been there for a long time reaching out, but also some of the new people because they're more excited. I want to make sure that we kind of capture some of that energy. So if you sign up right when you hear this, you might get one of those invites right away. So I recommend doing that. Also, you can find me on social media as ADHD Jesse or buy my book, Extra Focus, The Quick Start Guide to Adult ADHD, extrafocusbook.com or wherever books are sold.
Right. And the Patreon for this podcast is
Yes,
where?
The Patreon for this. We don't have any patrons yet, but you could be the first. You could really initiate it and jump in and help support us for paying for our amazing editor to get these episodes done and out to everybody.
If
and
you're
that
our
is
first,
at Patreon.
Should we give some incentive for if you are our first patron? What will we do?
Huge shout out.
We'll give you.
Huge shout out for sure, and kind of plug whatever sort of if you have your own business you're doing, and you're kind of also in those early stages wanting to build up that want list. You could be our first patron, and we would give you a nice big shout out at the top of an episode.
Yep. Or you could send us your a business. If you felt like our little brainstorm sesh would be helpful for you, we could do a 10-minute brainstorm sesh on your
That's
topic.
Actually really good. I like that.
Yeah, okay, I like that too.
Well, you can choose shout out or brainstorm sesh. We'll let you choose.
So there should be the link in the show notes, or if you go to patreon.com/ADHD_founders, that is where you can sign up to support the show.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
See you guys.